to the break. But me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to the command post. You know what it is. Post up. Take command. I, of course, am your commander-in-chief, Louie T. Thank you for joining me as we get into the day after reaction of the Week 9 27-22 victory over the New York Giants. The Commanders now sit atop the NFC East at a record of 7-2, the first time they've started this well in a season since 1996. We've talked about this ad nauseum since the end of the game yesterday, but I wanted to reiterate that because it feels good to say. That being said, a lot of things to react to the day after the victory. Sweeping of the Giants, obviously a big deal for me and some of you out there as well. We talked about that yesterday. Felt good to bring out the brooms for one of our divisional foes. I'm looking to bring out the broom for another family member or two this season if at all possible, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Now, I do want to give a couple of big shout outs and some standout performers yesterday. I can tell you right now, the day after this win, I have never been in more anticipation for a film session than the one coming up on Tuesday, right? We've talked about this. My guy, Derek B in particular, we've talked about this, me and him, on numerous occasions, but he's been adamant that if you somehow come out of the draft class that we just had with your starting quarterback, your starting left tackle, a tight end that is very versatile in Ben Sinnott, a starting corner in Mike Sainristil, Frozone, a starting defensive tackle in Johnny Newton, and I mean, we can keep going, right? There are other guys that may ultimately end up being, Jordan McGee may end up playing a much bigger role than he is currently right now, right? So forth and so forth, right? Luke McCaffrey may end up being a bigger piece than he is. He's already been a big piece this year. Even if it doesn't show up on the stat sheet, his blocking and all of the other things that he brings to the table has shown up tenfold. So if you're able to come out of this draft, though, with a starting quarterback and left tackle, not just any starting quarterback, one of them ones, and a left tackle to protect him, we've hit a grand slam, not a home run, a grand slam in year one of Chef P's recalibration. And I can't wait to watch what Brandon Coleman did on Sunday because he was going up against Brian Burns, right? For the most part. Now listen to Nick Allegretti say, hey, look, he was pretty much singled up out there by himself. And I need to see it with my own eyes. I had a lot of people sending me these statistics, 25 dropbacks, no pressures given up, all that. I need to see it with my own eyes. I believe all of these statistics that are being lobbed my way. But I remember seeing some things earlier in the season, like Myles Garrett didn't have a single, statistic. He didn't register a single pressure. And then I watched the game and I was like, that's not a pressure? He almost got to Jaden Daniels 3 times. Those aren't pressures? I need to see it for myself. But if, in fact, he went out there, this was the first time this man has played the entire game. There's no subbing in and out. There's no babysitting him here. I want to see what he did. I can't wait to watch it with you guys, with the mob. But Brandon Coleman deserves some love. The entire offensive line. O-line Bobby Johnson, I think, deserves a ton of credit, a ton of love. He deserves a cold one, right? Us as a fan base, we gave him a hard time, right? We gave him a hard time when he was signed back in March, February, when they were assembling this all-star cast of coaches. He seemed like the one that kind of stuck out like a sore thumb. You know how many memes I saw of, those servicemen in a line with their guns, and then there's the one clown in the line with them that doesn't belong. Those types of memes were sent out about O-line Bobby Johnson when we signed him by Commanders fans. Giants fans were telling us, oh, he's trash, he's this, he's that. I reached out to some Bills fans and they were like, yo, he's mid. I said, third time's a charm, I'm hoping. Not sure, we'll see. But I was skeptical. But I said, I'm going to give him a chance. You know how I am. I'm going to give you a chance to prove that you can until you show me that you can't. Well, he's shown me that he can. And he's not doing it with a bunch of first-round picks. The Giants gave this man all these first-round picks, but they didn't want to work. Those guys weren't all that good. We gave him guys that are hungry, that are starving to prove their worth in this league, and he's getting the most out of them. That, and you got JD5, you got Cliff calling the plays, and you got this diverse offense that's got teams off balance. A lot of, moving parts here, but he needs to be given credit. And Brandon Coleman does as well, because we didn't call Brandon Coleman's name yesterday. We didn't. For a second, I forgot he was even starting at left tackle. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Jeremy Chinn. I don't know if I said this on the post-game show or not. I know I said it on the Bleacher Report post-game show, but I'm not sure if I said it on the post-game show with you guys on this channel or not. But Jeremy Chinn was a one-man wrecking crew yesterday. And you could argue he was the best defensive player on the field for us yesterday. And we have not been able to say that about Jeremy Chinn this season at any point of any game. But yesterday, Jeremy Chinn was everything that I thought he would be for this team when we signed him, when I advocated for signing him and Frankie Louvu away from Carolina. That's what I thought we were getting. That's the guy that I thought was going to show up here. And I've been told all year, hey, Jeremy's doing a magnificent job of communicating. He's doing this. And I'm like, oh, that's all great. That's fine and dandy. You know who else used to do a great job of communicating? Cam Curl, right? I need plays to be made. I don't need you to tell me about a guy communicating really well, even though that's a big part of not having coverage busts and breakdowns and giving up big plays. I need guys to actually go out and make some plays. And up until yesterday, Jeremy Chinn's claim to fame this season probably was recovering a fumble that he did not force against the Giants the first time, that Benjamin St. Juste forced, that he recovered. Well, yesterday, this man was an untamed and caged beast. He was everywhere. And you saw the speed. You saw the tackling ability. You saw the coverage ability. You saw everything on display. And we heard from Joe Witt Jr. saying, hey, I want to blitz him more. And he even got in on a few blitzes yesterday. They're expanding his role, and he's adapting and adjusting very well. And he showed his versatility yesterday, and I was so excited to see it on full display. He had 2 or 3 tackles for loss yesterday. Giants trying to get creative, and they got a guy running, 6, 7 yards in the backfield, and out of nowhere comes 11 flying in the backfield and ropes his legs up, shoots his cuffs, and gets him down on the ground for a 6-yard loss. They tried a little screen, and Jeremy Chinn blew it up, made a tackle for about a 2-3 yard loss. On a crucial third down, when we were struggling to get off the field, Daniel Jones sees his tight end, Johnson, the rookie out of Penn State. He thinks he's open. And Jeremy Chinn makes a fantastic play. He doesn't get there early. He gets there right on time, and he knocks that football away. You listen to Mark Sanchez, and you would have thought it was a drop. Oh, he's got to catch that ball. You got to help your quarterback. No, how about you give some credit to Jeremy Chinn for going over there and making a hell of a play? How about you do that, clown? But when it's all said and done, Chinn was everywhere. He was everywhere yesterday. And if we can get more of those type performances from him, he was playing with that speed, that violence that we've heard them talk about this season. He was playing with that level of speed and recklessness, and that's what we need. Controlled chaos. You know, watching yesterday's game and seeing how we managed to find a way to win in a game that in past years we would have lost, right? We would have found a way to lose that game. Yeah, it's the Giants. Yep, they were 2-6. Yada 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 yada. I know I said this to you guys yesterday. Family business is family business for a reason. It is not meant to be easy. And most times it is not. You can throw the records out of the window. Daniel Jones stinks against everyone else, but he doesn't stink against us. And as I said yesterday, it doesn't matter who the quarterback is for the Giants. They never stink against us. They are to us what we are to Philly, in the sense that no matter how bad we suck, you can always count on us to be competitive against the Eagles. We may not win, but just when you least expect it, we will beat them. Even if we stink, even if we're not very good, we will jump up and bite the Eagles. We play them tough every single time. The Giants are that to us. No matter what the situation is, we always struggle with the Giants no matter what. And usually it results in a loss. But this year, it resulted in 2 victories. And on Sunday, the thing that was the most impressive, looking back at that game, is yes, there were a lot of things that need to be corrected. The run defense was atrocious in the first half. The pass defense wasn't great in the second half. We couldn't get timely stops. DQ didn't challenge a play that he should have that would have resulted in us being awarded the football on a 4th down stop that the defense did get. Instead, the Giants kept possession and ended up scoring points. The offense sputtered in the red zone in the second half after being sparkling in the first half and a perfect 3 of 3 in the first half. They went 0 of 3 in the second half in the red zone. Yet, we still found a way to win. And the most important thing is we didn't put the defense on the field to win the game or to preserve the victory like the last group would have done, and then we would have lost the game. Or we would have had to have some kind of lucky break. But we always know, like last year, plenty of times you put the defense on the field and you ask them for a stop and they don't get it. And really, that's happened to us this year at times too. Our best weapon is our offense. In the Cincinnati game in week 3, in the Giants game in week 2. Let's start there. Giants game week 2, our first win of the season. The defense, you want to give them credit for a stop because Malik Neighbors dropped the ball wide open on a 4th down? Go right ahead. Be my guest. I guess it counts. But we all know the truth. They didn't get a stop. They didn't make a play to get us the football back. The Giants didn't make a play. And then guess what happened? The offense got the football and they went and won us the game. Big kick by Austin Seibert. He went 7-7. We all know the story. First game here as a Commander, and he made himself very welcome here. And he hasn't looked back. The offense did that. Jaden Daniels' first career game-winning drive. He did that in week 2. Week 3, we're up on the Bengals by 5. You know what time it is. I know what time it is. We all know what time it is. Okay? We all know that if we settle for a field goal on this 3rd and 7, Joe Burrow's going down the field. He's going to score a touchdown, and he's going to get a 2-point conversion to tie the game up. And if this thing goes to overtime, we're going to lose. We all felt that. We all knew that. And most importantly, the offense knew that. The coaching staff knew that. Jaden throws the dime to Terry, one of the throws of the year. And we win that game on offense. Because what did the defense ultimately do on the next possession? Give up a touchdown. Right? But we knew that was going to happen. And instead of allowing it to happen and to do the whole, oh, shucks, we didn't get the stop like we would do in the past, we went out and we took the game on offense. because that's the strength of this team. You fast forward to week 7 against Baltimore, or week 6, excuse me, against Baltimore, and we needed one stop from the defense. It wasn't the best performance by the offense, especially early. Defense got us a turnover. We only got 3 points out of it. We missed a field goal in that game. But the offense got rolling in the second half when they had to, and we just needed a stop, and the defense couldn't get it. So you fast forward to week 8 against the Bears, and the offense just didn't have their fastball. They couldn't get right. Couldn't find the end zone, couldn't get out of their own way, penalties galore, negating big plays, negating, scoring opportunities, taking points off the scoreboard. You name it, we did it. Ertz had a catch, then it wasn't a catch. All of that stuff happened. It was the perfect storm for what happened to happen. And there's the defense playing a whale of a ball game, and here they are. They just need one stop to preserve the victory. One stop, one play. The Bears are mangling the clock. They're mismanaging this situation. And all we got to do is get one stop, and this game is over. And they can't do it. Luckily enough for us, somehow, some way, the offense, yet again, bailed us out. And yesterday was another example of that. We know what it is. Watching this thing back, we know what the strength of this team is. We know what our identity is right now. We couldn't shake the Giants because defensively, we couldn't get stops. Offensively, we weren't finishing drives. But when the game was on the line and we had to have it, the offense delivered like it always does. I know a lot of you the day after that game want something done. And there are a lot of sellers out there. There are a lot of teams selling right now. A lot of bad teams in the league right now. But we're looking for specific items. And word on the street is Zadarius Smith is going to the Detroit Lions. That's what I keep hearing. That's essentially a done deal. That's what I keep hearing. Now, I haven't heard anything yet, but that's what I keep hearing. He's going to Detroit. That makes a ton of sense. If you're the Lions, you think you can win a Super Bowl. You're the best team in the NFC right now, and I don't think anybody's debating that. And you could argue they're the best team in football because the Chiefs don't look all that great on offense right now. The Lions look like the most complete team right now. So I could see Zadarius Smith heading to Detroit. I keep hearing Marshawn Lattimore's name as a target. Look, the Saints just fired their head coach, Dennis Allen. They're in free fall mode. You lose to, they literally had their Hall of Fame player, Cam Jordan, apologize to the fan base for losing to Carolina. That's how bad it is in New Orleans right now. You got Michael Thomas, former Saints receiver, ripping Derek Carr to shreds. The Saints are a mess. They're selling off pieces. The question is, how desperate are they to move some of these pieces to try to fast track their rebuilding process? Because they've got some stuff. They've got some stuff. And the one thing that we're still interested in, and you know what I'm going to do real quick? I haven't done this yet, and I'm doing this with you guys right now as I'm sitting here doing this video. I'm going to check out Marshawn Lattimore, see how old he is. He's 28. Let's see. All right, he'll turn 29 in May of next year. So he's 28 years old. So he's still got some good football left in him, obviously. I want to check out his contract situation and see what that looks like. So right now, Marshon Lattimore is being paid $1.2 million base salary. His cap hit is $14 million. You can get out of the deal after the season, right? Now you're gonna take a dead cap hit of $31 million if you do that. If you decide to void the rest of the contract by cutting him loose, but you can get out. And that's a hefty hit. Now you'd have to work that out with New Orleans as to how much of the deal are they willing to eat. Most times when you trade for a player, you assume the rest of their contract, right? But he still has 2 more years after this year on the contract. 2025, 2026. He'll be 30 years old by the time you get to the end of the contract. I am not upset at this at all. If you could get a healthy Marshon Lattimore at 28 years old for the next 2 years, keep in mind, like, everything that they did this offseason, when I say they, I'm speaking of this organization. Everything that they've done this offseason has been in 3-year increments, right? Follow me here. They signed Tyler Biadasz to a 3-year deal. They signed Frankie Louvu to a 3-year deal, right? Anybody that was good, Dorrance Armstrong, that they felt like was a part of the long-term transformation of this organization, it was a 3-year deal. Nothing longer than that, right? Everybody else either came on a 1 or a 2-year deal. Most of them were 1s. And the few guys that they thought, hey, we know this guy, we know he can be a pillar here, 3-year deal. Frankie, Tyler Biadasz, Dorrance Armstrong. I think they were the only ones to get 3-year deals. Austin Ekeler got a 2-year deal. Everybody else got 1-year deals for the most part. You know, Chinn and Wagner and Mariota, all of those guys got 1-year deals, right? And the slew of other guys, Noah Igbenogany, all of those 1-year deals, right? So we'll have the conversation about who should be back, who won't be back, yada, yada, yada next year. Obviously, we'll see what free agency holds. We'll see what the draft holds. But I only bring it up because everything that they've done is in 3-year increments. Like a lot of money coming off the books in 3 years. Why? Because if they hit a home run, which we already see that they have with Jaden Daniels, you want to be able to do his deal and you want all of that money coming off the books. So no contracts extend past that 3-year window. Because after that 3rd season of Jaden Daniels' career, he needs to be paid going into year 4. You don't even want to get to year 5 and that 5th year option, right? You extend him before then, right? So Marshon Lattimore's deal comes off the books right in that window with the Biadasz deal and the Louvu deal and, you know, the Dorrance Armstrong deal. He's right in that same window coming off the books after the 2026 season, right? That's when the Louvu deal's up. That's when the Biadasz deal is up. That's when the Armstrong deal is up. So it fits the timeline. Now the question is compensation. How do they feel about Marshon? Does he fit the culture here? Right? Because he could be a head case. We've seen him get into fights with the Buccaneers and Mike Evans and, you know, things of that nature. We don't have guys that hurt the team. These are things like, here's something the day after of this Giants game that resonates with me even more so than it has at any point this season. And this isn't the first time we've seen it, but did you see the locker room celebration for DQ after the game? He won his 50th game in the league. Josh Harris made an announcement, you know, quick speech to the team, presented DQ with the game ball, right? Then DQ turned up. You see Frankie Louvu on IG. They having a damn party in the locker room after the game on the road. And what I keep going back to is the brotherhood, the connectivity of this team. I've never seen a team this close before. We ain't talking about throwing rocks at the wall or no stupid bullshit like that, right? We talking about fighting for the dude next to us, fighting for our brother. Guys being ready to step in and be selfless when their number is called, even though they've only been active one other game this season. I'm talking about guys like Jeremy McNichols stepping in at the end of the ball game in the most critical juncture when he hasn't been asked to do anything up to that point of the season, doesn't even know the play, and he puts his body on the line. I'm talking about C-Rod stepping in at the end of a game when we need it, and he's running as hard as we've ever seen him run in his career to help us put a game away against a divisional foe and get a big road victory and sweep a divisional family member. I'm talking about Luke McCaffrey making the extra block so that Brian Robinson can score the touchdown, even though he hasn't had a target in 3 weeks. I'm talking about OZ running 60 yards down the field to hustle to try to make a block so that he ends up being in a position to recover a fumble. We've never seen connectivity, guys fighting for one another. I'm talking about Nick Allegretti on the field having to pull Brandon Coleman's finger back into the socket so that he can stay in the game and continue to help protect Jaden's blind side. These dudes are out here fighting for one another. And when you put a mic in front of their face, the first thing they want to talk about is the brotherhood. We ain't never seen nothing like that. I haven't. I'm not old enough to remember the glory years when the fellas would go behind the practice field in a little shack and drink beers together. I wasn't around for that. You'd have to ask one of the OGs about that. I don't know anything about that. I've heard stories. I can't speak to it. Here's what I can tell you. I've watched this team for over 30 years. I've never seen anything like this before. Not even remotely close. As a Grizzlies fan, I told you I've gone through this before. And one of the things that I loved about the Memphis Grizzlies 2-3 years ago when they first started this transformation, they were young and they were vibrant and they were taking over the NBA by storm, is they loved playing with each other as teammates on the court, and they loved hanging out with each other off the court. It was a true bond. Do you know in the NBA how many teams have cliques and factions within the locker room? It's 15 guys on an NBA roster, and 5 guys like each other. These 3 rock with each other, and these 2 don't like any of the teammates, right? Like there's little cliques, little factions. I don't really rock with that dude. Everybody on that Grizzlies roster got along with each other. It's a true brotherhood. And that's what we have here in Washington. So you got to be careful of who you bring in here. I'm listening to OZ on the post-game show, and he's like, hey, we got a locker room full of selfless guys that's willing to do whatever it takes to help us win. And we don't have to get the shine. You know, as long as I'm helping and I'm doing my part, that's all that matters. It's Ben Sinnott making block after block while not touching the rock at all. Selflessness. His time came, though, against Carolina when he caught a touchdown pass. He caught another pass in the game against the Giants. But guys are just doing their job. It's John Bates. How many times do we call his name for catching a pass? We don't call his name very often. It's good to see him catch the ball last week against the Bears and run a dude over on the sideline and get pumped up. So I just say, only reason I brought all that up is to say this. That matters. I listened to Nick Allegretti talk after the game, and he said, This group of rookies, they're so mature. They're mature beyond their years. These 21, 22, 23-year-olds that have come in here, it's like they've been here before. They don't play like rookies. They don't think like rookies. You think that's on accident? You think Chef P and his staff did that on accident? You think they went and got Luke McCaffrey, selfless guy, switch positions, willing to do whatever it takes, comes from a football family? You think that's an accident? They could have took other receivers, guys with checkered backgrounds, guys that weren't leaders and weren't captains on their college teams, that were more talented than Luke McCaffrey at the receiver position. There were other receivers that were more talented than Luke McCaffrey at that pick in the 3rd round. You think that was an accident? You think them drafting Brandon Coleman in the 3rd round when there were other tackles available? They had 3 second-round picks. 3 second-round picks. They could have taken a tackle if they wanted. You think it was an accident they took Brandon Coleman? They waited and took Brandon Coleman. They could have solved the tackle position a lot sooner. A lot of you were disappointed. I said, I want to see how this works. I'm not sold on Brandon Coleman yet. I can't wait to watch this film. But it's not a coincidence that they drafted Johnny Newton, that they drafted Brandon Coleman, that they drafted Mike Sainristil or Ben Sinnott. These guys all have high-level football character while still being dogs. So when you start thinking about bringing other guys into this locker room, they got to fit what it is we're building here. We want no contamination from the outside. If you're not about what we preaching over here, you're not about this life, you can't come in. Because what we got right now, we've built this perfect ecosystem. This perfect ecosystem right now has been built off of free agency, the draft, and some of the holdovers that have been here who have seen the struggle, who are so grateful and thankful that this thing has turned around and they were here long enough to see it happen. The Jeremy Reeveses, the Tress Ways, the Terry McLaurins, the Deron Paynes, they don't take this shit for granted. Every time Terry speaks, everyone knows how happy he is. Everyone's so happy for him. Terry had 2 catches yesterday. They were both touchdowns, but he was 2 catches. You think Terry's complaining? He's balking? He's crying? He's whining? No. He's cheesing ear to ear. Because he knows he's got one of them ones throwing him the football, and he's got a rapport with a quarterback that he's never had in his career, but he also knows this is something special. We've never seen this in Washington since he's been here. So you just got to be careful. Not everybody fits what we're trying to do. And I'm not saying Marshawn Lattimore doesn't, but like a lot of y'all want Max Crosby, and he's not getting traded, by the way. That's, again, we've talked about that. But Max Crosby does some questionable shit on the football field. For as good as he is, every game he's either getting a personal foul penalty or he's in the midst of the referees talking, thinking about throwing a flag for a personal foul. Like, he can't control himself. I'd probably still sign up for Max, even with that said, right? But I do think Washington is trying to make something happen. The question is, will they? What are we willing to give up? What are these teams that are potential sellers willing to move off of these players for? And how bad do we want to give away pieces of the future? Because that's what you're doing. The only reason these teams are interested in trading away some of their good players is because they want pieces for the future. So you're giving up pieces of your future for now. How far are you willing to go? I've already told you, I could care less about a day 3 pick. I've seen quality players go for day 3 picks that I would have done the deal in a heartbeat if I could vouch for this guy's football character and him fitting into our locker room. I would have done some of these deals in a heartbeat. Right? When you start coming after my day 1 or 2 picks, I don't know if I want to do it that bad. I don't know if I want to do it that bad. So we'll see. But the day after the Giants game, I can just, the sweep of the Giants, I can tell you this. This team is resilient. And much like I've said about the Chiefs, and we are not the Kansas City Chiefs, let me make that abundantly clear. That is not what I'm saying. But they're finding ways to win games, and that is what the good teams do. Right? We're finding ways to win games. Doesn't matter what it looks like. When you're a young team like we are, ahead of the curve and ahead of the process, when you're playing with house money the way that we are, and you're finding ways to win like a veteran team, that's dangerous. Because we don't know no better. The veteran teams do. They know what it's supposed to look like. We just showing up and we having fun. Enjoy this. We found a way to beat another team yesterday when we didn't have our fastball. But we did enough. We did enough. And we'll see if anything gets done at this trade deadline or not. I know some of you want something done. Hell, I want something done. If it's within reason, that's always been my stance, is as long as it's within reason, I'm open to just about anything. But if Chef P says it's okay, if Lance Newmark says it's okay, shit, then it's okay. So we'll see what gets done or what doesn't get done. Sometimes the best moves are the ones that don't get made. I just know this. We're 7-2. Celebrate! And we're talking about it the day after sweeping the New York Giants. First time that's been done since 2021. I'm feeling damn good right now. Feels good, feels good. What about you? That's going to do it for me, your man Louie T, with the day after reaction, taking down the New York Giants 27-22, running the record to 7-2, and most importantly, sweeping the Giants, going 2-0 in the division and staying atop the NFC East by a half game over the Philadelphia Eagles. Big test in front of us, but let's just continue to enjoy the sweeping of the Giants first before we turn the page to the Steelers on Wednesday. I'll see you guys for CNN a little bit later on today. Take care.